Human Bomb #1, written by Justin Gray and Jimmy Palmiotti, art by Jerry Ordway. This is the third miniseries, along with The Ray and the Phantom Lady miniseries, that kind of just cover this little itty bitty character with the through line of Uncle Sam. So we pick up this issue with a dream sequence. We have our main character, Mike Taylor. He is getting a honorary medal from, I want to say, the president. It's in the White House, but it's clearly not the president delivering it. So I guess just like a commander or something. Regardless, as he shakes hands after getting the medal, his hand starts glowing, and then the whole White House blows up. And he wakes up from the dream being like, gee, same dream every time. And we see that Mike Taylor is a construction worker in New York City. He's working on the new World Trade Center, which was still being built at that time. And all the construction guys are, just telling a story like, oh yeah, we were down at the bar, this guy was giving us a hard time. Then Mike stepped up here and he was so cool. He scared the guy and the guy offered to pay for our drinks all night. Mike, you're great. And Mike's like, nah, I'm just a guy. And the foreman comes in saying, hey, why is everyone standing? Get to work, except for you, Mike. Now, Mike, we know that next month, you're going to meet the president to get yourself a medal. Are you nervous? And he's like, I mean, not really, but I'm still meeting the president. That's kind of a big thing. He's like, yeah, so because you're meeting the president, I got a buddy of mine who basically apparently the insurance company is saying that there was a pre-existing condition. I think that it has something to do with like first responders to 9/11 and how insurance companies were not paying out stuff because of that. It's kind of under the radar here, but yeah, either way, he's like, if you're going to talk to the president, maybe you could just bring it up. But then as they're talking about this, a whole bunch of explosions go off, and they look over the New York skyline and they see just a bunch of smoke, and they're like, oh dear God, do we have another terrorist attack? And everyone starts making their way out of the building as fast as they can. Everyone's on their phones trying to call people, and Mike looks over and sees this one guy from his old squad, and he's like, Smitty, is that you? Smitty, what's up? And he goes and he tries to get Smitty, but Smitty's walking back into the building. He's like, what are you doing, Smitty? And he realizes something must be going on, so he tackles Smitty to the ground, and Smitty says, remember Crown, and immediately Smitty just blows up. But it looks that Mike is actually absorbing the explosion into himself. So then we cut to Afghanistan 3 years ago with Mike's squad making their way through basically a firefight, and they duck down into an alley. And as they get down there, they are jumped with a blinding light and then are immediately all hit with some sort of electrifying darts. And we see that the people who attack them are not Taliban, they're not any sort of enemy combatants. They are some sort of secret group squad coming in and basically taking the whole group hostage. At that point, Mike wakes back up, and one of the construction guys come in being like, dude, there was an explosion, and how are you okay right now? And he's like, I don't know. Can I go to the hospital? And we see a man across the street on a phone saying like, bomb number 23 went off the grid, referencing Smitty. He was trying to reference bomb number 17, and 17 is apparently an abnormality. So the guy on the phone walks over to Mike, grabs him by the throat, and just says, diffuse, diffuse, diffuse. He just repeats it over and over again. But Mike reaches out a hand, hits the guy in the chest, and an explosion goes off. Guy goes flying, and he's like, oh, geez, okay, I don't know what's going on. But everyone's watching Mike. He's like, oh my God, I think that guy, he had a bomb. No, wait, he is the bomb. It's like on the news, because clearly all these explosions were linked to people exploding. So at this point, the guy is back on the phone. He's like, oh, bomb number 17 has gone rogue. Override has failed. Tracking him now. So he chases down the guy. He does some crazy acrobatics and whatnot. And Mike just keeps on hitting him with like an open hand punch, which keeps on causing explosions. It sends the guy flying. And he's like, you are causing way too many witnesses right now. This is all your fault. You need to be terminated. And he's like, go to hell. And he just runs away from the guy far enough that he's able to escape. And the guy jumps back on the phone. He's like, Human Bomb 17 has escaped. Many eyes are watching us. And he's like, well, get rid of him. So immediately this guy is revealed to be Human Bomb number 50. and he explodes, taking out an entire city block. So then we cut to Shade headquarters. Shade being Frankenstein, agents of Shade, but this seems to be a different part of the organization where basically they are keeping track of all these explosions going on. They're trying to trace down exactly what's going on. And they saw the whole Mike thing happening. And they were like, hey, all right, we got this guy, Mike. We have a list of terrorist resources that we think might be behind it. And they show the list of Capricorn, Renegade, Orbital, Warriors, and Nesbali, which they show this to Uncle Sam. And Uncle Sam's like, wait a minute, hold on. Take the first letter of each of those. What do you get? And it's like, oh no, it spells crown. Which, the fact that they were just coincidentally in that order, I don't feel like is whatever. Anyway, they're like, okay, crown. And so Uncle Sam is like, all right, Sergeant Taylor, the guy, Mike, put him on all of the screens. And then he stands up and says, all right, everybody, this is just the first attack for a much larger terrorist strategy. Our number one thing is we bring in Mike Taylor immediately. So, yep. I mean, terrorist attack, New York, they got balls, I'll give them that. It's something. I liked it. I think it's a character that's not really a superhero per se. It's just more of a weapon, but it's still attached to a person, and it's going to be a thing of he doesn't know how to control his powers. He didn't even know he had powers. So I'm intrigued, at least. They've got me interested with the first issue, which I think was more than to be said with the Phantom Lady one. I would say any critiques is that it is extremely dated by the fact of them specifically, they're working on the world, like they specifically are working on the new World Trade Center. So obviously that was going to date it, but clearly we're supposed to be reading this in 2012. The fact they didn't even put it in a trade, like, yeah, it's not exactly something that was going to be timeless, and I don't think it's supposed to be. So it's a good little story for what it is. I'm going to give it a 7. It's not feeling amazing, but it's also not bad in any way. It's just a good little first chapter. So we'll see how Human Bomb continues over the next 3 issues.